Alright, so this way it's just easier to fully remember what I wanted to bring up. So, there were a couple touches in the 15 touch bout between me and T that I wanted to bring up. So, I have it in the program here. The first one was when it went to 2-4. So, the call was attack and preparation right. So, this is it again. So, that was called attack and preparation to the right. And I want to bring it up again, just going frame by frame. Now, like I said in the last email, normally you don't really do this a whole lot, but especially since we're breaking down a practice bout, I think it's warranted. So, right there, you can see our advances begin at the exact same time. Neither of us has an advantage there. You can see my back foot lands at roughly the same time as hers. So, our lunges begin at the same time because of our back foot. But you can see right there, it's difficult to tell what the arm is doing, but my foot is definitely moving before hers. And I land at pretty much the same time that my foot does. So it's not a remise. And you can see here, I've landed and she's still finishing. So I believe that that one was mine, and definitely not attack in preparation. If anything, it would have been attack in preparation in my favor. Now again, that's not what I would have called it because the timing was off. But I really don't see how that is attack in preparation to the right. I just see it as me taking over. So that's my opinion there. I was at 2-4. Next one is when the score goes up to 3-5. The call was attack right. Let's play it. So what it was called was the parry was late. Want to go through it in slow motion. So, the thing is, during that time, I only made one parry. There was one parry riposte. So, and you could tell from the sound that there was blade contact. So from where she is, that's when we make contact, and there is no light. So she didn't arrive before my attack. I come in with the riposte, my light goes off, and then her light goes off. That's a remise. So, that's another one that I think should have been mine. Next one was at 4-7. The call was attack right. Let's take a look. So it was called attack right because it looked like I was searching and she was just changing lines, going from a high and in one motion down to a low to attack here into my 3. That is not what I saw when I was fencing, and it's not what I see here either. So going slow, we both begin to move our blades, not necessarily at each other, but we begin to move them. Now here, you can see, actually, I'm gonna go full screen. So, we're coming forward, our blades begin to move. I'm going down, she's going up, she goes to the side. Now I think this is really the part that shows that that was not part of one continuous attack. Is, you can see there, her arm goes back before going forwards. To the side, back, and then forwards. Down to the side, back, and forward. So, I don't know if that necessarily gives the touch to me. In fact, I don't think so. Yeah, I think it was simultaneous. But I know that it was not hers. The touch would the attack would have been a lot more fluid to count. It would have had to have been a lot more fluid to count as one attack. Next one was here at 5-8. The call was riposte right. So, later on, Joseph claimed that it was 2 actions that was cleanly seen, or cleanly performed, whatever. So let's take a closer look. We come forward. Now, here, we do land. Now, it's difficult to tell from this angle, but I was almost certain, in fact, not almost, I was certain that our blades landed at the same spot. But if anything, again, it's hard to tell from this angle, but it looks like they either landed on the same spot, which does not give priority. If the actions are the same, it does not give priority to either person if it's landing on the same spot. But from here, it looks like, if anything, her blade was closer to my bell than my blade was to hers. And then we both come down and hit within the same motion. So, her arm doesn't really go back. And the thing is, it doesn't go back enough that I see it as a purposeful parry. So, I don't think it's a poorly performed parry. I honestly believe that she was going for my blade in the middle there, and the only reason it ended up a little bit closer to her mask was because I'm pushing her down. That's not a parry. That is me forcing my way through. Now, that doesn't necessarily give the point to me, but I don't see how that is... I don't see how that is two clear actions. I see her getting forced back. And I definitely don't see her blade landing in the right spot to definitely give her a parry. Our blades land very close to each other in the same spot. So if anything, I think it should have been thrown out. And then the last one, well, actually, I think you already remember this. It was at... So the score that you were calling was 14-14, but like I said, going through this bout, I realized that you skipped one of my points, so I had actually already won by this point. I think I said... Yeah, so I had one more point than what had been counted. You just skipped one of them. So I should have won at 15-12, but you were calling it at 14-12. That's nothing against you. We all make mistakes. I'm just pointing. I'm just throwing that out. So this was the one that you threw out because you said that I went early, even though that is where you called halt. My attack was finished, the box had gone off, that's when you called halt, and then you threw it out. We can double check with Eric or Nikita on Wednesday, but I don't... That, to the best of my knowledge, and I have passed the referee exam, that is not allowed. If the ref makes the mistake of not calling halt when one fencer moves early, then the point is still awarded. If the ref calls halt while an action is being performed, if it's during and it's because of something that happened earlier, the actions in the middle of the box happen so quickly that can be forgiven. So that's that. But in this case, you clearly waited until the action was finished and then said, Oh, I should have called halt earlier and I didn't, so even though you got the point, it's not going to be awarded. That definitely would not fly. So, this is me bringing up something that I honestly think should have been addressed, because not only was it more than one call, I think a lot of them were blatant enough that they should be remedied. So, I'm going to send this later on. We can also talk about this Wednesday. I don't know if I'll bring my laptop then or not, but that's part of the reason I'm doing this. Is in case I don't bring my laptop, we have this recording that I can also send to you. But yeah, that's that. See you Wednesday.
Thanks, redacted. I agree with your first two calls, but not your third. In slow motion, it's clear that you pull your arm back. Hard to tell what my line of sight during the bout, since the camera angle is far to the left, but I would call it the same way, attack right. It looks to me like Redacted was simply changing lines with their arm, whereas you were pulling your arm back. At real bout speed, it's the pull that the ref is going to notice most. I also disagree with your fourth call. From the camera angle, it's difficult to see, but from my angle on the right, Redacted clearly made a parry action, whereas you made a direct attack. I'm not claiming the parry was super clean, but I saw both of your intentions, and to my eyes, Redacted's intention was parry riposte. Also, your point about forcing your way through would be valid with one light. There were two lights, so again, I see the intention parry riposte. I do apologize that I lost track of the score. As for the last touch where you went early, hard to tell without the audio of when I called halt. But I trust you that the halt call came late. That said, I award you an ex post facto yellow card for clearly going early. Whether I pulled or not doesn't change the fact that Redacted pulled as well. I've seen people change lines, and it does not look like that. To me, it was clear as day that she went for a parry and switched halfway through, which means it's not an attack, so at the very least it'd be a simultaneous. At this point though, it's just a matter of what we saw, but I stand by my opinion that it started as a search and not an intentional line change. For the other, I just don't see how that can be seen as a clear parry. Her arm was nowhere near the parry 5 position, and our blades landed fairly close to each other's bells. I saw in the video that she reached out towards me, not bringing her arm closer to her body. So again, it comes down to what we saw. But if we're awarding cards and stuff out of the bout, then at least I won way earlier than was called. But who am I to argue with someone who managed a beautiful flunge against Redacted? Yep, agreed. Those two calls just looked different to our eyes, and hard to double check for this camera angle. But again, I appreciate your explanation as a learning exercise. Also, I'll take that flunch to the bank.